إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإنه لتنزيل رب العالمين نزل به الروح الأمين على قلبك لتكون من المنذرين بلسان عربي مبين وإنه لفي زبر الأولين. Dear brothers and sisters, regarding the Ulum al-Quran and regarding the definition of Quran and the revelation of Quran, we have discussed in our last two lectures the definition and wahi, the purpose of wahi and the kinds of wahi. But the best definition, when we read Quran, we find that the best definition is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this Quran, He has introduced His grand book. He has defined the grand book. Allah said, وَإِنَّهُ لَتَنزِيلُ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. This Quran, grand book, is a revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is revealed to Prophet sallallahu gradually. لَتَنزِيلُ, it is sent down gradually, in stages, in parts. And who brought this grand book? نَزَلَ بِالرُّوحُ الْأَمِينَ. The trustworthy angel brought this grand book, being Jibreel. عَلَى قَلْبِكَ, upon your Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, لِتَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُنذِرِينَ, so that you may become a warner. بِلِسَانٍ عَرَبِيٍّ مُبِينٍ, a clear, a plain Arabic language. وَإِنَّهُ لَفِي زُبُرِ الْأَوَّلِينَ, and the news and regarding this grand book were given in the previous scriptures, in Torah, Zabur and other previous books. They were told, they were given the attributes of this grand book. They were informed about this grand book. And in Surah Al-Haqqa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also introduced this grand book. Allah said, فَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِمَا تُبْصِرُونَ وَمَا لَا تُبْصِرُونَ. I swear by all those things that you can see, and also by all the things that you cannot see, that beyond our perception, beyond our imagination. Then Allah said, إِنَّهُ لَقَوْلُ رَسُولٍ كَرِيمٍ. These are the words spoken by an honorable messenger. And وَمَا هُوَ بِقَوْلِ شَاعِرٍ. These are not the words of any poet. This is not poetry. وَلَا بِقَوْلِ كَاهِنٍ. These are not the words of sayer who informed about who claimed to know the knowledge of unseen and who informed about future. And then I said, وَإِنَّهُ لَتَنزِيلُ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. This is the revelation, this grand book is gradually sent down from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of all creatures. So these are the best definition by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is tanzeel. What does it mean, tanzeel? There are two words used. One is inzal, the second is tanzeel. Inzal, to send down something all at once, and tanzeel, to send down gradually, in stages, in parts, slowly. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that this Quran was sent down on the night of power, in the night of Qadr, Allah used the word inzal. Allah said, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatin mubarakah. We sent down this book all at once on the night of power, on a very blessed night. So what was this blessed night? Laylatul Qadr. That was in the month of Ramadan. In the last 10 days you can find this night, any odd night, maybe 21st, maybe 23rd, 25th, maybe 29th, 27th. So this Quran was sent down from Allah al-Mahfuz, and Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala he explained, from Allah al-Mahfuz to the Baytul Izzah. Baytul Izzah, it's also called Baytul Ma'mur. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by this bayt, Allah says, وَالطُّورِ وَكِتَابٍ مَسْطُورٍ فِي رَقٍّ مَنْشُورٍ وَالْبَيْتِ الْمَعْمُورِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swear by the Bayt al-Ma'mur, which is continuously visited by angels. So Bayt al-Ma'mur, according to scholars and Sahaba, this is the Kaaba of angels. In the last heaven, in the first heaven from our world, the last heaven, and parallel to the Kaaba, just above the Kaaba. And it is Ma'mur because all the times angels they visit this Kaaba. More than 70,000 angels they visit every day. And the Prophet ﷺ says that once an angel has visited this Kaaba, Bayt al-Ma'mur, he is never given another chance. His turn will never come till the day of judgment. Here you can imagine, Allah says, وَمَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ إِلَّا هُ. No one knows the junood, the army of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except He. So the numerous, the access of angel, that when once an angel has visited this Bayt, this Kaaba, Bayt al-Ma'mur, his turn will never come next time till the day of judgment. So this is Ma'mur, and all the time it is full of angels. So Quran was sent down in the night of power from from Allah al-Mahfuz to the Bayt al-Izzah, Bayt al-Ma'mur, and then afterward it started to send down upon the Prophet ﷺ, and it started when he was in the cave Hira, Mughar Hira. And the Sahih Hadith in Sahih Bukhari, Sayyida Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she said that أول ما بدأ به رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من الوحي الرؤيا الصالحة. She narrates the story how Quran started to be revealed upon the Prophet ﷺ, how its revelation, how its wahi started. This is a long hadith. And she said that the Prophet ﷺ, how started, فَكَانَ لَا يَرَى رُؤْيَا إِلَّا يَرَى مِثْلَ فَلَقِ الصُّبْحِ. Whenever he used to see some dream, and whatever the dream he saw, he used to see in the next day in light of daylight. Meaning whatever he dreamed, he would see in reality. So this was the start of Wahi. But this was not the Quran. This was Wahi regarding the normal matter of life. And afterward, the Prophet ﷺ, he liked to go to Hira for seclusion, for contemplation, to think about the matter of life, to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for ibadah. And it was the ibadah, we don't know the actual nature, but he used to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the people they used to do before Islam. Because there were some people who were following the deen of previous prophets. So the Prophet ﷺ, he used to go Ghar Hira for meditation, for remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And during these days, once a person came to the Prophet ﷺ, and he was Jibreel, and in human shape, and he asked the Prophet ﷺ to read Iqra. Iqra. The Prophet ﷺ said, Ma ana biqari. So he squeezed the Prophet and he hugged him very tightly, so it was hard for him to breathe. And he said, read. Again he said, read, recite, read. He said, Ma ana biqari. I am not the person to read, I am unable to read. Third time, again he squeezed the Prophet more powerfully, and then again he said, read. Third time, and then he revealed the verses of Surah Al-Alaq, Surah Iqra. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. These were the first verses revealed upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after getting this revelation, he came home. He returned to home and he was scared, and he told Sayyida Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha, his wife, that Zammiluni, Zammiluni, cover me, wrap me with a blanket. So he was covered, and then he informed Sayyida Khadija radiallahu ta'ala what had happened with him, and he said, لَقَدْ خَشِيتُ عَلَى نَفْسِي, I fear that something wrong might happen with me. And at that time, Sayyida Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha, she said, no, كَاللَّهُ اللَّهِ لَا يُخْزِيكَ اللَّهُ أَبَدًا إِنَّكَ لَتَصِلُ الرَّحِمَ وَتَحْمِلُ الْكَلَّ وَتَكْسِبُ الْمَعْلُومَ وَتَقْرِضُ الضَّيْفَ وَتُعِينُ عَلَى نَوَائِبِ الْحَقِّ. Wallah, Allah will never disgrace you, because you are the best person among these people. You help the poor, you maintain the family ties, and you serve the people, and you help the poor people. So these are beautiful words. So she was quite certain that Allah will never disgrace him. Nothing wrong will happen to him, because he is helping the people, and he is helping the needy people. So afterward, she took him to her cousin, Waraqa bin Nawfal, who was a scholar of Christianity, and he was a very old person, and he knew about all of the religions. So she took him to Waraqa bin Nawfal, and when he listened what happened to the Prophet ﷺ, he said, ذَاكَ النَّامُوسَ الَّذِي نُزِّلَ عَلَى Musa. This is the same angel which was sent toward Musa alayhi salam. So he was quite sure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to choose Muhammad sallallahu as his prophet. So, and then he said that if I were alive when your nation will drive you from your homeland, from Makkah, I wish I were alive to help you, to assist you at that time. The Prophet sallallahu, he was amazed, he was shocked, that he said, Awa mukhriji. So would they drive me? Would they exile me from my homeland? Would they force me to leave my homeland? And he said, yeah, it had happened to all prophets. All prophets, their nation, they drove them from their homelands. So this was the first time that the Prophet ﷺ was revealed the verses of Surah Al-Alaq, Surah Iqra. But there are some other opinions. Some say that the first revelation was Surah Al-Muddathir. But it was after the Fatratul Wahi, because this is that there was, after this revelation there was a gap. The Wahi stopped. There was a pause. Fatratul Wahi. This is called Fatratul Wahi, a period when the revelation was stopped and paused. So how long it was? There are different opinions. Some say 3 years. But the most authentic opinion is it was only few days. The Wahi stopped for only few days. And afterward, the Prophet ﷺ said, I was going in the valley of Makkah, and I saw the angel Jibreel in his real form. And he was sitting on a chair between earth and heavens in real form. This was the first time that the Prophet ﷺ, he saw Jibreel in his real shape, real form. The Prophet ﷺ, he saw Jibreel 2 times in his real form, real shape. One on the night of Mi'raj, and this was the first time. So, and at that time Jibreel revealed the verses of Surah Al-Muddathir. Ya ayyuhal muddathir, khum fa'andir, wa rabbaka fakabbir, wa thiyabaka fatahir, wa rujza fahjur, wa la tamnun tastakthir, wa li rabbika fasbir. So this was the second revelation. And third revelation, according to majority of ulama, it was Surah Al-Fatiha. You may read some ahadith that Surah Al-Fatiha was the first surah revealed upon the Prophet, but it means that it was the first complete surah that was revealed upon the Prophet. Before Surah Al-Fatiha, there were some few verses of Surah Al-Alaq, few verses of Surah Al-Muddathir, but the first complete surah that was revealed upon the Prophet was Surah Al-Fatiha. But there is another hadith that proves that Al-Fatiha was revealed in Medina. Some ulama say it might have been revealed 2 times, once in Makkah and second time in Medina. So this was the start of revelation. This is Tanzeel. Gradually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed. First, it was Inzal. All at once it was revealed from Baytul Izzah from Allah al-Mahfuz to Baytul Izzah to Baytul Ma'mur, and then afterward gradually the verses, different surahs were revealed to the Prophet in different time, different occasions, and it completed in how many years? 23 years. 23. This was the first revelation and the last revelation of one of the ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah. وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا تُرْجَعُونَ فِيهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ ثُمَّ تُوَفَّى كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَا كَسَبَتْ وَهُمْ لَا يُظْلَمُونَ. And some say the last ayah was الْيَوْمَ أَكْمَلْتُ لَكُمْ دِينَكُمْ وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي. So the last ayah regarding the ahkam, regarding the sharia was الْيَوْمَ أَكْمَلْتُ لَكُمْ. But the last ayah of Al-Quran as a whole was وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا تُرْجَعُونَ فِيهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ. This was the last ayah that were revealed upon the Prophet. So Quran was revealed gradually, slowly. So why Quran was revealed in parts, in stages? Why it was not sent down upon the Prophet all at once? There are several reasons. The ulama have discussed why Quran was revealed to the Prophet gradually, slowly, in parts, in stages, in different times. So Allah, first reason Allah Himself has mentioned in Quran. Allah said, كَذَلِكَ لِنُثَبِّتَ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَوْلَا نُزِّلَ عَلَيْهِ الْقُرْآنُ جُمْلَةً وَاحِدَةً كَذَلِكَ لِنُثَبِّتَ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ وَرَتَّلْنَاهُ تَرْتِيلًا. The first reason that why Quran was revealed to the Prophet in parts, in sections, in stages, gradually, Allah says, to strengthen the heart of the Prophet, to make him happy, to remove his grief. Allah has mentioned there are so many verses in Quran that whenever the Prophet was grieved, Allah used to reveal the verses. Allah used to send down the. Allah said, وَلَقَدْ نَعْلَمُ أَنَّكَ يَضِيقُ صَدْرُكَ بِمَا يَقُولُونَ. We know that, O Prophet Muhammad, that your heart is grieved because of their words, because of their allegation. And so many others. قَدْ نَعْلَمُ إِنَّهُ لَيَحْزُنُكَ الَّذِي. We know that your heart is grieved. فَاصْبِرْ كَمَا صَبَرَ أُولُو الْعَزْمِ مِنَ الرُّسُلِ وَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا يَقُولُونَ وَاهْجُرْهُمْ هَجْرًا. Be patient. Don't care about them. There are so many occasions that whenever the Prophet was grieved and he was sad, Allah used to send down the verses to make him happy, to strengthen his heart. This was the first reason, that لِنُثَبِّتَ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ, so that we may strengthen your heart. So whenever he faced a problem, Allah used to reveal. So if it was revealed all at once, so he could not get this benefit of Quran. This was the first reason. And the second reason why Quran was revealed in different occasions, to make it easy to memorize. Because Quran was not written down in the very beginning. So it was the Sahaba, they used to memorize Quran, to make it easy to memorize. Even the Prophet ﷺ, first hafiz of Quran, it was our beloved Prophet Muhammad. So whenever any verse was revealed to the Prophet, he used to try to memorize it. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He revealed the verses. لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به إن علينا جمعه وقرآنه فإذا قرأناه فَاتَّبِعْ قُرْآنَ ثُمَّ إِنَّ عَلَيْنَا بَيَانًا. That Muhammad sallam, when our Quran is revealed to you, don't move your tongue very fast. You must listen. It is our duty. It is our duty to make it easy for you to memorize and to read and to recite and to explain. It is our duty. فَلَا تَعْجَلْ بِالْقُرْآنِ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ يُقْضَى إِلَيْكَ وَحْيُهُ وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. Don't move your tongue before the Quran is revealed to you. So the Prophet ﷺ was worried that I may forget some verses. So he used to read very fast along with the revelation. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade him, no, don't move your tongue fast. Don't be scared of it that you may forget. No, you will never forget. So afterward, the Prophet ﷺ, he would listen whatever was revealed to him, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it easy for him to memorize. Whatever he listened, he would never forget afterward. So slowly, gradually he was revealed. And to make it easy for Sahaba as well to memorize. Sahaba, whatever the words, whatever the surah was revealed to the Prophet ﷺ, the Sahaba, they used to memorize. This was the second reason. And the third reason, to make it easy for people to understand. As Allah said, Alif Lam Mim, or Alif Lam Ra, Surah Yusuf, Surah Yunus. Allah said, Tilka ayatul kitab al-hakim, akana lin-nasi ajaban, an awhayna ila rajulin minhum an anzir an-nar. And Surah Yusuf, Allah said, Tilka ayatul kitab al-mubin, inna anzalna Qur'anan Arabiyya la'allakum ta'qilun. We revealed on this Quran in Arabic language so that you may understand. To make it easy for people to understand. Quran was revealed gradually in stages, in parts. And another reason, to make it easy for people to practice, to follow its guidance, to follow its instruction. Because Quran is the book. There are hundreds and thousands of commandments, hundreds and thousands of manhiyat, prohibition. Just only in Surah Al-Baqarah, some ulama say that there are 1,000 commandments, 1,000 ahkam, and there are 1,000 manhiyat, 1,000 prohibitions. Don't do this one, don't eat this one, don't read this one. So just in one surah. So Quran is the book of ahkam. Quran is the book of the thing that we have been prohibited to, and we have been commanded to stay away from. So it is not easy for people, especially the society the Quran was revealed on. It was a society where it was a mixture of all grave sins. The first, it was a society of shirk. People, they used to worship idols, they used to drink alcohol, they used to engage in so many other sins. So Quran challenged all these sins. Quran prohibited from all these sins. So it was not easy for people to stay away from all these sins just by one command, just by one order. So slowly, gradually, so the things were made haram, which Allah will discuss, the Makki and Madni ayahs, the commandment, how they were revealed. So that was the reason, slowly, the things were prohibited. The things were made haram gradually. It was to make it easy for people to stay away from sin. To make it easy for people to follow some instruction. And another reason that why Quran was revealed in different occasions and completed in 23 years to correct the mistakes of Prophet. The Prophet was ma'soom, but maybe miscalculation, maybe misunderstanding because of some other reason. Maybe whenever he inclined to do any wrong, any mistake, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala correct it. Whenever it happened, all the time. For example, the story of offering salah upon Abdullah bin Ubay. So he offered the janazah upon the Abdullah bin Ubay. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the verses. ولا تصلي على أحد منهم مات أبدا ولا تقم على قبري إنهم كفروا بالله ورسوله. And when his uncle died and he started making dua for him, Allah said, إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء وما كان للنبي ما كان للنبي والذين آمنوا أن يستغفروا للمشركين ولو كانوا أولي قربى. Allah forbade him. You have no prophet has a right to, no, even a Muslim, the Mu'min, they have no right to make dua for the mushrikeen, even though they are the relatives. So whenever he inclined to commit any wrong or any mistake, Allah corrected him. The Surah At-Tahrim, when it was revealed, when the Prophet ﷺ, he banned honey upon him. He said, no, I will never taste honey afterward. He said, Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu, lima tuharrimu ma ahallallahu lak. Tabtaghi mardata azwajik. O Prophet, why have you banned honey for you? Do you have banned for only just to seek the pleasure of your wives? So whenever he inclined to do some mistake, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala corrected. There are so many other incidents in the Quran. And also Quran was revealed in different occasions, different stages. Because whenever he was posed any question, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the verses. There are so many verses in the Quran. Whenever he was asked some question, Allah revealed down the Quran. Allah sent down the Quran. There are famous questions, especially in Meccan era, when the people of Mecca, they were thinking about how to refute Prophet ﷺ, how to challenge Muslims. So they sent a delegation to Medina. Because the people, the Jew, they were scholar people, they sent a special group of their most learned people to go and ask the Jew about the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, about this grand book. So when they went to Medina, they informed the Jew that we have a Muhammad ﷺ and he believed that he is the Prophet and he believed that the Quran is revealed down to him. So the Jew, they informed them 3 questions. Go to Muhammad ﷺ and ask him 3 questions. And no one can reply, no one can answer these questions except for a prophet. So what were these questions? First was, what is ruh? And the second, what is the story of the people of caves who went to a cave, Ashab al-Kahf. And the third, inform us about Dhul Qarnayn. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the verses. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ. They ask you concerning the ruh. قُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ اللَّهِ. And وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ ذِي الْقَرْنَيْنِ. They ask you about the Dhul Qarnayn and then also the story of Ashab al-Kahf. So whenever he was posed a question, whenever he was asked a question, there are so many other verses. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْمَحِيضِ وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الشَّهْرِ الْحَرَامِ قِتَالٍ فِيهِ. Whenever the people ask him a question, whether Muslim, whether Kuffar, whether other people, the Prophet ﷺ was sent down the Quran, was answered by the read down its reply. Allah says, وَلَا يَأْتُونَ بِمَثَلٍ إِلَّا جِئْنَاكَ بِالْحَقِّ وَأَحْسَنَ تَفْسِيرًا. And another reason that why Quran was revealed down in stages to humiliate and to expose munafiqeen, because munafiqeen, they were in the guise of Muslim. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals the surah Tawbah is also called Al-Fatiha. It exposes who are munafiqeen, who are hiding in that, who are disclosing themselves to disclose the munafiqeen. And there are so many other reasons that the benefits of. And also whenever the Prophet ﷺ was confronted by any big major problem in life, let's suppose the Waqi'a Ifk, the story of Ifk, the slander, when the Munafiqeen, they made up a story regarding Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu ta'ala, Allah subhanahu revealed the verses. So there are so many other benefits and the reason that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down Quran in different time, different occasions. So Quran came to the Prophet in the form of wahi, in the form of revelation. And how was Quran composed and compiled and how was it collected and how was it preserved and protected is a long, long story. There are 2 major means to preserve the Quran. First, it by hifz. Because this is the grand book, Allah has made it easy for people to memorize. Even children can memorize it. Today I got a clip from a girl in USA, America. She's just 9 years old and she has memorized the whole Quran. 9-year-old girl memorized the whole Quran. So we have in our Muslim country 5-year-old kids, 6-year-old children, 7-year-old who have memorized the whole Quran. Allah has made it very easy. So it was preserved by hifz first. This is the book, and the hadith in Sahih Muslim, hadith Qudsi, Allah says that, إِنِّي مُنَزِّلٌ عَلَيْكَ كِتَابًا لَا يَغْسِلُهُ الْمَاءُ. I am going to send upon your Prophet a grand book that will not be washed away by water. This book can never be removed by water. Because this is the book that will be preserved by heart. And we will discuss in our first lecture regarding Ulum Quran that why Quran is called Quran, because this is mahfuz. Because qara yaqra had two major meaning. One is jumia. This is jumia mean this is mahfuz in hearts. This is jumia. This is collected in hearts, preserved in hearts, as well as in books. As I said, بل وآيات بينات في صدور الذين أوتوا العلم. These are the bright verses, ayat, in the hearts of those who have knowledge. These are the ayat who will be preserved in hearts. And Imam Wahab bin Munabbah rahimahullah says that ummatun anajīnuhum fi suduri. This is a great ummah. Their book will be in their heart. Can never be removed, can never be forgotten, can never be washed away. The other book, people they made changes. People they used to write down some words and they say, Hada Kitabullah, this is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yuharrifuna al-kalim. They used to twist the word, they used to change the ayat. But this book can never be omitted, can never be changed, because this is preserved in the hearts. And the first Hafiz, as I discussed, was our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it was mu'jizah, and he was bestowed the hifz of all the book. And every year, Jibreel used to come to the Prophet sallallahu, as hadith in Sahih Bukhari, and he used to rehearse the Quran with the Prophet. He used to read with the Prophet sallallahu. And this was how the Prophet was given the hifz of this Quran every year, and every night of the month of Ramadan, and in the last Ramadan of the Prophet Jibreel came and rehearsed the Quran twice. That was, and afterward the Prophet realized that it might be the last year of his life, because Jibreel came to him 2 times. Twice, it means he rehearsed the whole Quran 2 times in the month of last year Ramadan. And also Sahaba, whenever any verse we read the Sahaba, they rush to memorize it. Quran was not read as a whole, but whenever any verse, any surah we read to the Prophet, when the Prophet he called the Sahaba and dictated and made them write down, so the Sahaba, first thing that they used to memorize, there are so many ahadith regarding the Sahabas who memorize. I let me inform you about a beautiful story of Amr ibn Salama radiallahu ta'ala. The hadith is Sahih Bukhari. Amr ibn Salama radiallahu ta'ala, he was a child, might be 4 or 5 years old, just 4, maybe less than. And he himself narrates his own story that we were living on the way to the Medina. And the caravan, the people, the groups, they used to come to Medina to embrace Islam, and when they would return to their homeland, so they would stay with us in our village, in our place. And whenever they talked that we went to Medina and we went to Prophet Muhammad sallam, and this part of Quran was revealed to him, so I used to memorize. A child, 4 or 5 years old. He said, whenever I listened some part of the Quran, and he wished to meet these people. Whenever people they would pass by them, and he rushed to them. Have you heard some part of the Quran from the Prophet? He was not Muslim. At that time, Amr ibn Salama, a child, his father, his family, his people of his village, none of them was a Muslim. He was the person and this is also a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If someone has desire to memorize Quran, and if someone is blessed to memorize, it means that he is blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Amr ibn Salama was not Muslim. So he said that slowly I memorized too many surah of Quran, and yet he was not a Muslim. And after the conquest of Makkah, the Fath of Makkah, his father was the first who embraced Islam. First of all, his father went to Medina to the Prophet ﷺ, embraced Islam. And he said that when he came back, he informed that the Prophet ﷺ, he had advised us, this is his message, these are his teaching. And he said that when the time of Azan starts, then one of you must lead the prayer, congregational prayer. And وَلْيَأُمَّكُمْ أَكْثَرُكُمْ قُرْآنًا. The person who knows most part of the Quran, he should be your imam. And Amr ibn Salama says that when they looked around, they could not find anyone who memorized the Quran more than me. And he said, I was at that time 6-year-old. Amr ibn Salama at that time, when his father embraced Islam, he was only 6-year-old. And he said, so they appointed me their imam, and he was a 6-year-old. And afterward he said that, I was not able to cover my back, because he had a very short kameez, very short, very poor people. And he said, when I went to Sajda, my back was uncovered. So a lady shouted, she said, cover up your imam. Provide a clothing to your imam. And then afterward they gave him the best shirt, best kameez. And he said that I was never happy more than that day when I was given that shirt. This is the barakah of Quran. This is the ni'mah that Allah gave to the Hafiz. So this was the tradition of people. That society of Makkah and Medina, it was oral society. People, they love to memorize things. There were people who have memorized thousands of ash'ar, thousands of poems. There were people who memorized thousands of nasab, thousands of lineage. The family, the names of father, grandfather, it was an oral society. And the Prophet ﷺ encouraged people to memorize Quran. And it was a condition to choose any Amir. Whenever the Prophet ﷺ, he used to send some expedition, some army towards someone, and when the time came to appoint some Amir for them, and he used to ask them that who knows the most part of the Quran. So when he was told that this person knows the most part of the Quran, so he was appointed imam, he was appointed commander. There is a story about a Sahabi that he said that when the Prophet ﷺ wanted to send some army, I came there, and he used to ask, he started asking, how much Quran do you know, how much Quran do you know? When my turn came, I told him that when he asked me, مَاذَا مَعَكَ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ فَقُلْتُ لَا, I informed him that مَعِيَ كَذَا وَكَذَا surah وَسُورَةُ الْبَقَرَةِ. I know such and such surah by heart, and also I know Surah Al-Baqarah complete. The Prophet ﷺ asked him, do you know the surah, whole Surah Al-Baqarah by heart? He said, yes. The Prophet ﷺ said, إِذْهَبْ فَأَنْتَ أَمِيرٌ. Go, you are their imam, you are their commander. So the Prophet ﷺ, he encouraged the Sahaba to memorize. So this Quran was preserved just now. Forget about the Sahaba, that was the best time. Even now you can find millions of kuffars who can read Quran without looking, who can memorize, who have memorized the whole Quran, and who can read Quran without looking on Quran. This is a book that Allah has made easy. And you know the story of Shuhada Uhud, the people who martyred in Uhud. So the grave was very few, and the Sahaba were 70 Sahaba who were martyred. And the hadith in Sahih Bukhari that the Prophet ﷺ, he used to ask, where in one grave, 2 people were buried in one grave. And he used to ask that who ayyuhum aksaruhum Qur'ana, who among these two, who knows the Quran most? So when he was pointed at this dead person, this martyr, this shaheed knew more Quran, so he used to command Sahaba that put him first in the grave to give honor. So he used to be given honor and he used to be buried first, and then the second person was buried after him who knew less than the first one. So that it means that the Sahaba, they used to memorize Quran. There was competition, as Allah said, فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ. So this was how Quran was preserved. And still now we have fast. That is the reason in the definition, in the very beginning we mentioned that the definition of Quran, هو كلام الله المعرض بنفسه المنزل على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم المكتوب في المصاحف ونقل إلينا نقلا متواترا بلا شك. Is it conveyed to us? We are continuous, numerous narrators, not one or two, hundreds and millions of narrators. And the second, how Quran was preserved in a written form by writing. This is called ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ. This is Al-Kitab. This is Kitab. Quran Majid fi lawhin mahfuz. وَكِتَابٍ مَسْطُورٍ. So according to Kitab Mastur, also Allah Mahfuz, also Quran Majid. So this is Kitab. The Prophet ﷺ, he left this word, and the Quran, the whole Quran was written down in different places. Not in a one book form, because that was not the time when paper was invented and there was a book. But it was written down complete. And even the Prophet, whenever he was read any verse, he used to call Sahaba. There was the writer of Quran, Sahaba, among Ali radiallahu ta'ala, Zayd ibn Thabit, and Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala, and some other Sahaba, he used to write down. Every time they were ready, whenever any words were written down, they used to write down. So inshallah we discuss in detail how Quran was written down. And the Prophet ﷺ, then he left this world, the whole Quran was in written form, though it was not collected like now we have. So it was done after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, during the time of Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala. Inshallah we'll continue this topic. I ask brother not to neglect. This is very important and they are very basic information that every Muslim must know. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us tawfiq and ability to memorize and to know about this grand book and to get the barakah and blessing of this grand book. Ameen.